Hello and welcome to my video, 10 Strange UFO Reports. Number 10, Alien Warriors. This report is quite fantastic, but since I couldn't find the original source, I have to run from memory, which can be a dangerous situation. And since I can't recall names or dates, this is why I put it so low. A man reported being abducted while he slept on almost a nightly occurrence. While being with the aliens, he stated that he was used almost as a gladiator in an arena. He stated he was required to kill or be killed, and many of the beasts he faced were things straight out of nightmares. While some may write this report off as watching too many space movies, something he stated became strange. The man said any injury he received while he was abducted, he still had when he woke up, and some of these injuries were way more than just a scratch. Another man stepped forward with the same report, and according to him, the aliens are making their own sleeper agent human warriors. Number 9. Gangwondo Korea. On September 26, 1609, in Gangwondo, Korea, a UFO was reported in the diary of, and I am going to butcher this, Val Johnson. He writes that on a clear, cloudless sky, a shiny object resembling a bowl or wash basin suddenly appeared. It made a thunderous sound and flew fast like an arrow, and it made the heaven and earth shake. It looked as if it was going to land, but then tilted and rose and disappeared into sparks. He followed this by saying that it looked as if it was in the air by some energy. Some could state that he saw a comet, but I've never heard of a comet turning and going back up into the atmosphere. Number 8. Barney and Betty Hill. On September 19, 1961, Barney and Betty Hill were out driving in their car on the way to their house. What took place in a day would become the first widely publicized alien abduction. They stated that while on their trip they noticed something moving erratically under the moon. The couple pulled over and viewed the object with binoculars. At first Barney thought it was an airplane, but then decided it wasn't what he thought when it turned on a 90-degree angle and approached their spot quickly. They both got in the car and took off. At one point the craft blocked their way, and Barney reported that the beings were not human and wore a glassy black uniform. The Hills again sped off but kept hearing beeping and buzzing noises. The couple fell unconscious and awoke later, finding that they had traveled 35 miles south of their destination with no recollection of time. Barney's new shoes were scuffed, Betty's dress was ripped in multiple places, their car was damaged on the trunk, and both of their watches quit working. They kept the incident to themselves for 2 years until finally talking about it at their church. Both went under hypnosis and state that they were abducted, experimented, and shown a map to where the aliens had come from. Oddly enough, this map coincided with an unyet discovered part of our solar system. I apologize for running so fast over this topic, but if I included everything, it could be a video on its own. Number 7. Allagash Abduction. 4 men were camping in Allagash, Maine, and got more than they bargained for. On August 20th, 1976, the men were running low on food, so they decided to go out and try to get some fish while in their canoe. At one point, they saw a bright orb over the trees that would change color from green to red to whitish yellow. The object moved along the bank until one of the men flashed an SOS signal, and then the craft silently moved toward them. The men frantically tried to row to the shore, but were caught in a light beam. The next thing they knew, they were awoke on the bank and quickly noticed their campfire they had lit before fishing had gone out. They knew it would have taken hours to have burned down, but they were all missing that time. All 4 men started having similar terrible nightmares of alien beings performing tests on them, while the others sat on a bench, almost waiting their turn. The men all passed the polygraph test and later were hypnotized separately. All of their stories matched up, which included alien experimentation. To this day, this is regarded as one of the most unexplainable cases. Number 6. Cape Girardeau. This report predates the Roswell incident by about 6 years, and honestly, I had never heard anything about it until doing the research for this video. In the spring of 1941 in Missouri, an unidentified craft crashed. The military quickly took over the site, but in a strange twist, they called a minister from a nearby church to administer the pilots of the craft their last rites. When the minister, Reverend William Huffman, arrived at the scene, curiosity got to him, and he looked at the craft. He was expecting to see an airplane, but instead it was a silver saucer with strange hieroglyphics written on the inside. When he was shown the pilots, he saw three non-human beings resembling the images of what you think of when you see a gray. After performing the rites, he was sworn to secrecy and noted that he saw observers who had come to view the site were also sworn to secrecy as well. Once Williams got home, he couldn't keep his story from his wife, and she relayed all the story that I've just said on her deathbed. Number 5. Alien fire weapon. In South Carolina on February 22, 2004, a couple were driving in their car in the town of Gaffney when they noticed what looked like a mirage in the form of a UFO in the sky. The couple pulled off to get a better look at the craft, which at this point had begun hovering over some trees. Suddenly the trees started to catch fire, and even trees not close to the craft also lit up. The couple called 911, fearing that it was going to become a massive forest fire. The operator at 911 sent out a fire crew, but also stated that many other people have called reporting the same thing, including the craft. By the time the firefighters got to the scene and put out the fire, the craft was gone. Number 4. Incident at OHare. At the Chicago O'Hare International Airport, many employees as well as passengers spotted a UFO on November 7, 2006. The craft was first seen by a ramp employee who was pushing back an airliner. He alerted the crew, who also witnessed the object. People who were outside the airport stated it was a disc-shaped object that hovered for about 2 minutes and then shot up so fast in the sky that it left a hole in the clouds. At least 12 employees saw the craft, and even reports were made to the nearby tower. The FAA were pressured into giving an answer, but came back saying it was probably a weather phenomenon, and they would not investigate the incident. Many people see this as a cover-up, while others are upset that the incident wasn't investigated thoroughly enough, being it was a security danger. Number 3. Val Johnson. On August 27, 1979, Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson encountered something on his route that would forever change his life. At 1:40 a.m., he was driving when he noticed a bright light about 3 to 4 feet off of the ground. At first he thought it was a low-flying plane and turned left onto a road to get a better look at it. The light then immediately came toward him, covering 1.5 miles in a matter of seconds. Val said he heard glass break and then he fell unconscious. When he had awoke, his car was stalled and had skidded across the road. His windshield was broken, his antenna on the back of his car was bent at a perfect 60-degree angle, one headlight was broken, and a flat-bottomed circular dent was on his hood. He radioed for help, and when the ambulance came, they noted his eyes had been burned as if he had a welding flash. His watch, as well as the car's clock, were both running exactly 14 minutes slow. The Ford Motor Company inspected the car and stated that the glass had been broken in a way that showed both a pushing and pulling effect at the same time. After the examination, they ruled it was caused by a mechanical force of unknown origin. Number 2. UFO hit and run. While driving alone on a road in Illinois on November 4, 2008, a young woman suddenly felt something hit her vehicle. This happened quite a few times, and then suddenly the car was hit so hard that it made her swerve to the right. No other cars were on the road, and she noted that she didn't see anybody walking alongside the road or animals. The police came to assess the damage and noted that there wasn't any hair, blood, or scratches on the left side. The paint was intact, but it looked like the metal was almost melted. The case was handed over to MUFON, who took some of the paint from the car to be analyzed. This is where the case gets real strange. On the day MUFON went to get the results, the lab stated someone from MUFON had already come earlier and took everything. The organization thinks that possibly the men in black were involved, since no one from MUFON went earlier to get the results, and even the computer records at the lab were gone as well. Number 1. We are not alone. On July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 landed on the moon, making the United States the only country to have successfully conducted a manned mission to the moon. If you believe it, and I do. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first two men to walk the surface of the moon. While on the surface, the crew were in constant contact with the NASA Command Center here on Earth. At one point, one of the men reported back on a private channel this exact phrase: "These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh my God. You won't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out here, lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon, watching us." The recordings were admitted by a former NASA employee by the name of Otto Binder. Neil Armstrong was very vocal about the crew's encounters while in space, but to this day, Buzz Aldrin staunchly refuses to even review UFO evidence from his own mission. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.